This is a Moritaka Gyuto 240 millimeter with Aogami steel and an octagonal Japanese wa handle, purchased from Chef Knives to Go. It's made by the Moritaka family in Japan. They've been making knives and swords for over 700 years. This is a clad knife where the cutting surface is actually clad with a softer steel on the outside to give it strength and durability. And the inside steel is a very, very hard Rockwell 65 on the Rockwell scale, which is too hard really to leave the knife bare. Also, being a high carbon steel knife, it's prone to rust, so you have to take care of it. However, the knives will develop what's called a patina. In fact, this knife is starting to develop some coloration along the cutting edge. And that's due to contact with all the acids and chemicals in the foods that it cuts. This is really a fantastic knife, not for someone who doesn't want to take the extra effort to take care of it, because if you use it, you leave it sitting on the counter, you throw it in the sink, it's going to rust, and it'll rust badly. So you have to rinse it off and wipe it down almost continuously, and put a little coat of camellia oil on it to protect it. But what we want to do is see how sharp can you get a knife like this. And I sharpened this on my Wicked Edge sharpening system, which I'll put up another video showing that, but it's a guided sharpening system. Uses a variety of different stones, including really fine Japanese water stones and leather strops. And it does a fantastic job. Now, typically, one thing people will do to show how sharp a knife is they'll cut a piece of paper with it, copy paper or printer paper. And frankly, it's not that hard to slice that kind of paper because it's fairly stiff. A knife just needs to be moderately sharp. And here's the first test slicing newspaper. All right, how about something more practical? Oh, let's say cutting a tomato. Well, let's try cutting a tomato like this. I'm going to hold the tomato up about 6 to 8 inches above the knife. And you can see it just sliced it right away. Okay, let's try that again. Do it one more time. This is from about 6 inches. That's all it did, was just a 6-inch drop. Okay, well that's interesting. Pretty sharp. But let's try something even more interesting. Here we're slicing a little thin layer of the skin off the top of the tomato. Let's come back for some more. And notice I'm not even holding the tomato, I'm just letting the tomato sit there. And what I have here is a paper-thin slice that you can see through. How's that for sharp? Another test is, tomato skins tend to be a little tough. Can you cut through the tomato skin with simply the weight of the knife? I'm just going to rest the knife on the skin here. And I'm going to slightly, and I just barely moved it. I'm not putting any pressure on it at all. That's merely the weight of the knife cutting through. Okay, I'm back from a break. I took a little break there to eat that tomato. Now, the next thing I want to do is up the ante a little bit here and try something a little more challenging. Instead of a tomato, this time we're going to try grape. Same test. I'm going to try dropping it on the knife. Now, being small, I might have trouble hitting it, so forgive me if I don't get it on the first try, but here goes. And you can see it, cut it pretty nicely. Just slice it right off. Now, I'd like to try that same test I did with the tomato, where we just took a little sliver of a slice off of it. Let's see if that'll work on the grape. Okay, that first slice. Not quite as much surface tension, but still able to get a nice paper thin slice of grape. The Mortaka back into the wicked edge sharpening system, and we're going to do one more test to see how sharp it is, and this is really the most difficult test. It's called the hanging hair test, and if you Google it you can find that it runs on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being where the hair just falls away as it touches the knife blade. Now you're supposed to take the hair and wet it before doing the test, because the hair will soak up the moisture and it makes the scales of the hair kind of expand and catch more easily on the knife edge, and also it gives it extra weight, extra mass that helps it pull through the cut. Well, and it also helps to use a heavy, coarse hair. Well, my hair happens to be extremely fine, very, very thin, which makes it not good for this test. It makes it more difficult. And this hair is dry. I haven't even wet it yet, but we're going to try it anyway and see if it can pass the test. And also, this knife's been used for several weeks. Patty's been using it in the kitchen quite a bit. And we did the other test with it. So it's probably not quite up to the 5, but it would be if I had taken a fresh sharpening. But anyway, let's see what happens. I don't know if you can see that hair. And you can see it just cut it right away. All right, let's try it again. Look, you can see the piece is still hanging here on the blade. Okay. Let's try that again. You can see the hair. And it's cut. It looks like it's achieving a hanging hair test number 5, despite the disadvantages I mentioned. There you can see it just cut it away again. Really sharp knife. This is probably, from a practical sense, this is as sharp as you can get a knife by normal means. This is as good as it gets right here.